Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. It is hotter than a MFer in New Jersey, and it's going to get worse. We're not even getting any relief until the beginning of August. And right now, the last time I look, even August 3rd, we're still in the 90s. So this ain't going to be over anytime soon. And Saturday, we are in triple digits. So, those of you that join me for Bible study on Saturday, we're going to be doing it in the morning because Saturday is going to be 100 degrees in New Jersey. Sunday is going to be 102 degrees. So, I'm not doing this in the afternoon at all. So, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about what happened to two little beautiful black girls that went to Sesame Place. And y'all, I know quite a bit about that Sesame Place. That is the same one I took my son. In fact, I had a season pass a couple of years. That is the Sesame Place that's in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. And that is really not that far from where I live in New Jersey. It's just right across the bridge, and you're there in no time. So I do know that place quite well. We went many times when my son was little, and it's like a big water park. Most of it is just pools and slides and things like that. You just get in the water and just have a good time. That's all it really is. It's a water park. But where did Sesame Place come from? It actually came out of the minds of Black creators. And when you look at Sesame Street, you notice the brownstone that they walk out of the home, that brownstone. It is actually modeled after Harlem. That's what that backdrop is. You see like Oscar in the trash can, and you see the brownstone, and then you see, other things. It's modeled after Harlem, New York. That's why it looks that way. Shalom, everybody. It is good to see you. But most people in New York, a lot of them already know this, but there are other people that may not know this at all. Yeah. Yeah, because Brother Sly, it was really originally created for underprivileged Black children. But other children of different races also liked it, and then it became for, you know how it is, we get hijacked all the time. It's for everybody now. But yes, Sesame Street, when you look at it, those brownstones, if you were to go to New York, those brownstones, they're all over New York, those kind of homes. So we know when we look at the background, it don't look like a white neighborhood. It is not. It's Harlem. All right, so we're gonna talk a bit, and I got a video to show you that just came out today. Let me see if I can share my screen and get this video for y'all. Stop sharing. The mother recently came out and she spoke. So I'm going to play that video for you so you can see it. Let's see, can I get that tab? Okay. All right. So she recently interviewed, this is very short. Okay. Turn the volume up.
I couldn't believe that it happened. It's a child theme park. The kids are supposed to be happy and, acknowledged and greeted and having a good time. So the fact that this even happened, the fact that this is even going to be a core memory for them when it comes to Sesame Place is actually disgusting and unbelievable to me.
Okay. Now, another thing that you need to know, everybody, the mother has lawyered up. She got a lawyer. Okay. The mother got, yeah, they can't believe it. You know how it is. I mean, for me, it's not hard to believe because these things have always occurred. So if you really think about it, it's not shocking. Look, I grew up, Langhorne is in Pennsylvania. I grew up in Pennsylvania. That's why I have told y'all before in previous videos, uh, Pennsylvania, in my opinion, is like the Alabama of the North. Okay, that's what it's like. But no, no children deserve to be treated that way. It don't take them long to show racism to black children. Trust me on this one. If they're not showing you at a theme park, they're showing your children in school. Okay, that's how they're going to make sure it's shown to them at a very early age, and this is the wickedness of America. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are not going to get spared racism because you're up in the north. I always say the north is far worse because these folks tend to be covert, and they're far worse. I rather be around the Southerners. At least they tell you how they feel and you know where they stand. I can't stand people that try to portray themselves like they're not like that, but they actually are. To me, it's worse. Okay. So the mother that you saw in the video, she has lawyered up and she's going after Sesame Place. I mean, look, you are responsible for the people that you hire, plain and simple. So the mother, her name is Jody Brown. She has lawyered up after the alleged racist Sesame Place character at a Philadelphia theme park appeared to snub her daughter and niece in a video posted to Instagram. A video from the Pennsylvania based Sesame Place. They went to the one in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Um, Shows the character Rosita seemingly ignoring two black girls as they reach for a hug. The kids appear to reach for a hug when the character shakes her head and walks away. Brown claimed in an interview with CNN that the character was intentionally racist against her daughter and niece. The mother alleged that after the character passed them, there was another girl next to them who was a different race. Why don't you just say it's a white girl? Because it was. And Rosita hugged her, though she stopped recording before the incident allegedly occurred. So you heard what she said. It was disgusting. And that it was. It was disgusting. And, because at that moment, I think it is the time to teach your kids what racism is. I mean, to me, it's never too young. It certainly is not for them. They teach their kids what racism is right out of the womb. And children must know reality. We got to stop sending them out here in the world naive. That's exactly what we shouldn't do. Okay. So, so the mother, of course, said she will never step foot in Sesame Place again. Sesame Place released an initial statement claiming the character, Rosita, was attempting to avoid someone who requested multiple times for the character to hold their child. I didn't see that in the video. And besides, have some pride about yourself. Don't be begging for nothing, especially a hug from some fake up character they made up. No, you don't need no hug from that thing. So, this is the excuse they came up with. The character was attempting to avoid someone that requested multiple times for the character to hold their child. So the performer portraying Rosita's character has confirmed the no hand gesture seen several times in the video was not directed at any specific person. Rather, it was a response to multiple requests from someone in the crowd who asked Rosita to hold their child for a photo, which is not permitted. Okay, let's say that was the case. You couldn't explain that to them. You had to look like you were being a blatant racist. So what are you saying? White parents don't request pictures with the Sesame Street characters? I definitely don't believe that. Yeah, Loretta just walked in the room. That's why you hear her. I definitely don't. So you're saying that white parents don't make these requests? I don't believe them. Mm-mm. I don't believe them. So, according to Sesame Place, Rosita, performer, did not intentionally ignore the girls and is devastated by the misunderstanding. Well, all I got to say is if this is the best you can do, I don't blame that mother for saying they'll never come back. I don't blame them. You know, fortunately, when we would go and take my son there, same Sesame Place, it wasn't like that back then. You know, um, they did not ignore my son. Sometimes my son wasn't even paying attention to them, and they would tap him on the shoulder and and just play around with them, the characters. So it was, our experience was different, but this is still unacceptable in my opinion. This is still unacceptable. Period. So we're going to go over the history because I realize some of you may know the history of Sesame Street. Some people may not know the history at all. And I do want to talk about that. So let me just pull this up. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to put the characters back up on the screen as I talk about this. Okay, let's talk about Sesame Street, the origins of it. So, the roots of Sesame Street, of course, come from the Black community. So, it made its debut on TV in 1969 for the first time. And it was a television show, but it was a show that was supposed to be geared towards Black children because it came at a time when there really wasn't anything around specifically for Black children at that time in the late 60s. So, what they did was when they designed the set, they designed it with brownstones that you would find in Harlem or on the Upper West Side or in the Bronx. But it was mainly Harlem, which they had in mind when they created the set. That's why it looks like a street. The house looks like it has some age, and that's the way it really looks. So, 40 years ago, upon the 10th anniversary of Sesame Street, the New York Times it did an appraisal for the revolutionary children's TV program, and reminding readers that the show universal appeal declared its target, and it was mainly for inner city Black children. So the show back in 2019 became 50 years old. Sesame Place is 50 years old. Do y'all know? This is kind of off the subject. I was on my Apple Music and I saw Parliament Funkadelic, One Nation Under a Groove. Some of you old heads know what I'm talking about, right? So I'm looking at that song. I was like, wow, I remember when that song came out. So I said to myself, let me look up when this song came out because I remember I was still going to public school. So I looked up the song One Nation Under a Groove is 42 years old, y'all. I said, damn, I'm old. That song is 42 years old. And you know what? It still sounds good. It still sounds good when I play it. Boy, hard to believe. Time really does go by fast. So, Sesame Street celebrated 50 years in 2019. It is broadcast in 150 countries. All right. So it's definitely something that has catched on, caught on to children everywhere. Sesame Street has been rooted in African American culture, specifically from the Black community of Harlem. The New York City neighborhood played such an outside role in development that they actually designed the casting and marketed the show in a means of showing you that this was the inside of Harlem in New York. Mm-mm-mm. All right. So that's not the only thing. So you can also see, um, certain things in there. And in fact, Duke Ellington's A Train was also part of the show back in the day. I don't even remember that. Sesame Street rose from Lyndon B. Johnson's administration, Great Society agenda, a series of federal programs carried with ambitious goals of eliminating poverty and racial injustice. As part of these aspirations, Johnson, who had taught poor Mexican American children while a student in college, created the Head Start program, which started in 1965. And of course, that was for children that came from disadvantaged families. So Joan Gans Cooney, the creator of Sesame Street, said in 1998 in an interview that the documentary that she produced on the Harlem preschool program that would become the Head Start led her. This is how she came up with the idea. And she was not alone. Lloyd Mortisette, a psychologist at Carnegie Corporation. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, it was quite a few Black men and women that were on the board where they came together and they came up with the whole concept of Sesame Street. That's where it came from. So, it's funny how people don't teach history because they don't want you to know this part of history. Thank you, Dee, for the super chat donating to an amazing YouTuber. Thank you. All right. So they don't teach this history because they don't want you to know it. If you notice any history where our forefathers were involved in, they don't want to teach that history, especially if it's a good thing. And it's not just Sesame Street. The electric company came from black men, Morgan Freeman and Bill Cosby. Do you know that? That's where the electric company comes from. So to sit here and try to always say our people haven't done anything, we don't have a history, we don't have that. Y'all, you know what? You're the worst liars on the face of the earth. You know, in fact, if you look at the early electric companies, you will see Bill Cosby and Morgan Freeman on the episodes. Oh, I love the electric company. In fact, when I was growing up, Sesame Street would come on first. And then after Sesame Street went off, the electric company would come on after that. And I would watch both of them. When I was real little, I would watch both of them. Hmm. Well, yeah, you loved it because that came from black men. That's why you loved it. So, what they wanted to do, they wanted to create positive images for black children. And, because, back in those times, you would see people on TV, but you didn't see a lot of black children on TV back then. All right. So the one I used to like the most was Susan, and her real name was Loretta Long. And she played that part for decades. So she was on the show. She was actually there for the first episode of the show. She was a devout chapter member, her doctorate, and she was specialized in child education. And I used to really like her. She was probably one of the people I liked the most on that show back then. All right. So they did quite a few things, as the years went by. They touched on certain topics, even political things over the years that impacted people's lives. Now, I also did a Sesame Street video back in 2019 because they did an episode on opioids, explaining opioids to children and what drug addiction was. So they always touched on controversial things over the years. But I just want y'all to know, Sesame Street came out of the minds of black men and women. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. So, it's funny to know this and then turn around and see what happened at Sesame Place. It's mind boggling. And I don't think they gave a very good reason. And quite frankly, I'm glad the mother lawyered up because the excuse that Sesame Place gave, I wouldn't accept that. I would not accept that. If you don't want people asking to take pictures with the characters that are there, you should make that clear before they even step foot in there. I mean, those girls, they don't understand that. All they're doing is watching you hug and shake hands with everybody else and then skip over them and then go to other children. I mean, no matter what the mother did, it's not the children's fault. They didn't have anything to do with that. Yeah, Mr. Pirate Brain. Yeah, that's another thing I used to like. They used to always have different celebrities on there. And mostly, yep, Luther Vandross was on there. Yeah, sure was. And they still do. They still have different celebrities that come on there as well. Well, they got bad publicity. And to be honest with you, whether it's their policy or not, which I'm not fully buying, whether it's their policy or not, they should, let me just tell you this. When we had a pass and we were going there when my son was little, they used to have like certain locations within the park where you could walk up and take a picture with one of the characters, but of course they charge you for the picture, you know. And but people would just line up and wait to go in and take their kids in there and take pictures. Now I would imagine they probably still are doing that, but I don't know. Well, I'm glad the mother lawyered up because maybe they'll either change their policy. I think the person should get fired. I really do. It just looks bad. They should get fired. Yeah, Stevie Wonder was on there too. Mhm. Yeah, it brings back memories thinking about all this stuff, but not under these circumstances at all. But I went to school with some classmates. Some of my classmates actually went on the set of Sesame Street. That's an experience I never had, but I was on Romper Room, y'all. But not Sesame Place. Not, I'm sorry, Sesame Street. I was on Romper Room, though. Oh, okay. Romper Room was originally shot in Baltimore. Yeah, well, they had a location in Philadelphia called Jerry's Corner. And if you went out there at a certain time, you could be on the show. And they would just take you up there and people would wait in line and they would pick certain kids and then you would go on the set where they were filming. Oh, okay, Bert, you grew up in Baltimore. Okay. Yeah, well, Smurf, I don't count on black celebrities for anything because they have not been useful to us at all, and they never will be. Yeah, I did see that, Sharon Bonner. I did see where Kelly Rowland was talking about it was sad to see that. Yeah, I did see that. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go to that park. There were times we went up there and it was packed. You could hardly get in there. And then there were times we walked right in and it was real easy and it was not that many people. So it was not consistently crowded um every week. There were some weeks when it was less people there. But I remember going there quite a few times. Yeah, I didn't like seeing, boy, that video burned me up. I did not like seeing that. I didn't like to see how disappointed those girls were. That wasn't right at all. But it's just another indicator that maybe we need to be more selective about where we take our children. Every place is not the right place for our kids. And I think we need to take that into consideration. We don't need their stuff. At the end of the day, we don't need even their forms of entertainment. We don't need that either. I mean, there's many things our kids can do. We don't have to go to their amusement parks or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, it is heartbreaking. It's not those children's fault. I mean, you can't even just reach out your hand to them, or you don't have to do a full hug, just an acknowledgement. Damn. We've been to Disney. We even went to Disney. We went to Disney. When did we go? I think it was like 1998. We went to Disney and we stayed for a week and came back. And I never went again. That was it. We went that one week and that was it. Oh yeah, it was Miss Abiel. It was heartbreaking looking at, because those girls don't understand the point that these folks are trying to make. You know? Yeah. I mean, when they show that level of disrespect, none of us should be going back there ever again. Let them lose money. That's the only thing they understand anyway is money. Let their asses lose money. Yeah, it's not a good one. And like I said, she lawyered up, and we'll see what the outcome is. Hopefully, somewhere down the line when there's some kind of update on it, because I would like to know, what the outcome will be from her lawsuit. Yeah, well, see, that they do cause a lot of trauma to our children. And that's all the more reason why we need to do what we're told, and that's separate. I'm all for separation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, everybody, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I just wanted to touch on this subject. And probably in the next few days, we're going to get around to Roland Martin, too. Roland has this long history of trying to cuss out black folk, but I don't know what he's so butt sore with us for. And then he's talking about, oh, you don't have a degree. You don't need a degree to be on YouTube, idiot. And he got a degree and he still don't have a mainstream news job. They blackballed his butt. That's why he can't get back on mainstream news. He's blackballed. So he needs to go tuck his tail and go bother somebody else. Leave us alone. Like, we don't need instructions on what to do on YouTube from Roland Martin. Man, I remember just a few years ago, and y'all might remember, you would go on his live stream, he would barely have 10 people over there watching his live streams. Man, get out of here. No, Roland, don't address us anymore. Don't address us anymore, because you're not for us. So stop trying to talk to us, period. So we're going to get into Roland Martin real soon. So, everybody, yeah, well, Roland got a degree and he still can't get on mainstream news. Okay. Always remember that. He's always talking about, well, you don't have a degree. Well, you got one, and nobody on mainstream news wants your ass. Okay, they're not hiring you. After he got off of CNN and then went to News One, it's over now. He's never getting back onto mainstream news. His reputation is so bad among mainstream news networks. They don't want to deal with Roland. They don't want no dealings with him. Period. And I don't blame them. But every now and then, he always want to have these blow ups with black YouTube, or what we call, the new black media. He want to blow up at us because we're getting more shine than he is out here. And he's a professional, an alleged professional. So we'll address that real soon. But y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day and please stay cool wherever you are. It's hot as hell here. Woo, it's hot. I stepped outside for a moment to and it felt like, woo, the air is so heavy. It is so heavy and it's so humid. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to conclude. Please, everybody, please enjoy the videos that I put out. Post your comment, share the video, all the usual stuff. I usually don't have to tell you that. But may the Most High keep you in a well protected state permanently. And may you stay cool on these hot, terrible, turbulent days with the weather. They're talking climate change. I say it's the Most High. Shalom, family.